A very good morning, students. Students, in our last class, we started the textual analysis of the poem Grammarian's Funeral by famous and celebrated Victorian poet Robert Browning. Students, in the last section, in the last class, we read and analyzed that this poem embodies the spirit of the revival of learning which the pioneers had. And we also came to know that the old grammarian has something of the heroic spirit. Students, to an ordinary outsider, he would appear to be wasting his life over dreary stuff. But he was fashioned after the stately mould of the gods. He was lyric Apollo. After his death, he has the fellowship of the sublime things in the universe. No greater requiem over the remains of a scholar has ever been sung. Grammar is an art. Students, now let us first go through the lines of this dramatic monologue, the portion that we are going to analyze today. My dance is finished. No, that's the word way. Keep the mountainside. Make for the city. He knew the signal and stepped on with pride over men's pity. Left play for work and grappled with the word, bent on escaping. What's in the scroll? Quoth he, thou keepest furled, show me their shaping. Theirs who most studied man, the bard and sage, give, so he gowned him. Straight got by heart that book to its last page. Learned, we found him. Yeah, but we found him bald too, eyes like lead, accents uncertain. Time to taste life, another would have said. Up with the curtain. This man said rather, actual life comes next. Patience a moment. Grant, I have mastered learning's crabbed text. Still there is the comment. Let me know all. Prate not of most or least, painful or easy. Even to the crumbs I would fain eat up the feast, nor feel queasy. Oh, such a life as he resolved to live, when he had learned it, when he had gathered all books had to give, sooner he spawned it. Image the whole, then execute the parts, fancy the fabric, quite, or you build, or steel strike from quartz, a mortar drab brick. Here is the town gate reached, there is the marketplace, gaping before us. Yeah, this is him, was the peculiar grace, hearten our course, that before living he had learned to live, no end of learning, earn the means first, God surely will contrive use of our earning. Others mistrust and say, but time escapes. Live now or never, he said. What's time? Live now for dogs and apes. Man has forever. So, students, these are some of the lines that we are going to analyze today from this dramatic monologue. So, my dance is finished? No, that's the word say. Keep the mountainside, make for the city. He knew the signal and stepped on with pride, our men's pity. So, to the grammarian, the old age came rather too soon. As a result of his excessive devotion to his studies, at the touch of disease caused by overwork, his youth was gone. He became bald, shrunken, and withered with his power and energy. It got diminished. But he had not grown, nor did he say that his career was over. Now, Others should take his place and dance their own dance and live the life of their choice. In other words, he did not stop working even when he had grown old and diseased. He knew that others do so, but he did not follow their example. Theirs who most studied man, the bard and sage, give, so he gowned him. Straight got by heart that book to its last page. Learned, we found him. Yeah, but we found him bald too, eyes like lead, accents uncertain. Time to taste life, quote another would have said. Up with the curtain. He continued to work hard at his studies. And student, at this point, the speaker directs the other disciples to keep the mountainside and move upwards upward the city at the top. Their master knew that old age is the signal of death, but he still continued to work hard. He did not seek the sympathy of others. He was too proud and dignified for that. He did not rest or relax, but continued to study and acquire knowledge. He wanted to understand the mystery of word and human life, which has always eluded the grasp of scholar. He wanted to know the mystery which is hidden in the rolled up books of knowledge. He wanted to know the views of the poets, scholars, and learned philosophers. He so led the life of a scholar and became well read in what others have said in their books about the mystery of the word and the nature of man. This man said, actual life comes next. Patience a moment. Grant I have mastered learning, scrapped text. Still there is the comment. Let me know all. Prate not of the most or least, painful or easy. Even to the crumbles I would fain eat up feast. No, feel crazy. The grammarian students devoted himself night and day to the study of books, with the result that he grew learned, but he also became old before his time. He became bald, his eyes lost their brightness, and because of physical weakness, he could talk only in a halting, incoherent manner. Another man in his place would have said what he had acquired, that he had acquired enough knowledge, and now it was time for him to give up his seclusion and his books, which came in the way of enjoyment of life. But this grammarian students said that real life is not in this world but in the world to come. Life in this world is merely a preparation for the life to come. So the grammarian said that he will study patiently for some time more, and in this way prepare himself for enjoyment in the life to come. No doubt he had learned the original text written in an involved and difficult style, but he had still to read the commentaries on these texts. He wanted to master the work of knowledge. He did not want to be told that what he has acquired is enough, and that it is very difficult to acquire more knowledge. There was no question of more or less, easy or difficult for him. He took all knowledge to his province. He wanted to enjoy the feast of knowledge up to the very last crumb, and no amount of knowledge could create in him any feeling of uneasiness or discomfort. He never grew sick or fed up of knowledge. Oh, such a life as he resolved to live when he had learned it, when he had gathered all books had to give. Sooner he spawned it. Imagine the whole, then execute the parts. Fancy the fabric. Quite, or you build, or steel strike fire from quartz, or mortar dab brick. The grammarian was determined to acquire all knowledge, to know all about man and his life before he actually began to live that life. So, students, in this passage, human life is being compared to a building or a project. Before constructing the building, we first prepare a chart of that building. We prepare a draft, a map. We try to form a clear idea of it in our imagination. Only when the entire conception of the building is clear to us, we proceed to construct it in part. Only when the whole plan is clear does a builder strike the stone with steel and plaster bricks with cement. Construction and execution come only after the careful planning. Similar is the case with human life. We must first know all about life, and then alone should we begin to enjoy it. That was why the grammarian was resolved first to acquire learning and know fully about life. Here is the town gate reached, there is the marketplace gaping before us. Here, this in him was the peculiar grace. Hearten our chorus, that before living he would learn how to live, no end of learning. Earn the means first, God surely will contrive use for our earning. Others mistrust and say, but time escapes, live now or never, he said. What's time? Live now for dogs and apes, man has forever. Students, now as the funeral procession marches up, the disciples reach the town gate and they see the market of the city opening wide before them. The disciple, the head disciple, asks his companions to take heart, for their journey is practically over and their destination is near. So, the grammarian, as we have discussed, would first like to know how to live. He would not live aimlessly. He must seek a pause, a goal before he could live in the light of the ideal plan, purpose, goal, or ideal. The end or the goal is necessary for any striving, but one can never be sure of realizing the goal. Our main concern is with the means. We have to struggle and strive. We should not think of the end or goal, but of the means only. God will award the final gift, for He knows the use to which our striving has to be put. Others are the common people who are contented and who do not aspire high. Their contentment breeds stagnation. Spiritually, they are dead, and therefore they say that time is fleeting. If time fleets, then live in the present to the full. If you do not live happily now, you cannot live at any other moment. Thus, they believe in the present moment. But students, the grammarian thought differently. It is the animals like dog and apes who live in the present because they are not self-conscious and because they have no ideals to realize. But man is directly planned and molded. Time is time lived and it is now, the present for these animal beings. Man lives outwardly in time, but in reality, he belongs to eternity. Man has eternity before him. The now, the present moment is intended not for living but for striving. Students, counting with the enumeration of the many qualities of the dead grammarian, the speaker points out that the distinctive quality of his character was that before beginning to live, he decided to acquire a knowledge of life. He decided that he would know fully about the mystery of man and his life before he begins to live and enjoy life. There was no end to his learning. Students, his principle was that before beginning to enjoy life, he should understand life, for such understanding is necessary for real enjoyment. And students, this grammarian had full faith in God and was sure that he would grant him a long life so that he may put his learning to good use. Students, here our today's class comes to an end. We will continue with the discussion. We will continue the textual analysis and critical analysis of the poem, this great dramatic monologue, A Grammarian's Funeral, in our next class as well. Thank you very much.